What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dolo Gim series. Recently, we've been on the Maggot King grind, and we've been reaping the rewards. We have 3 Elder Venator Fangs, as well as the pet that is trailing behind us right now. What is unfortunate, though, despite the massive spoon, is that we did not spoon the items equally, and we don't have the Crimson Kisten just yet. However, we're only about 4 or 5 KC over rate, so between the 3 Venator Fangs, the pet, yeah, not much to complain about. But the boss has been a massive drain on our resources. I can't remember the last time I had to purchase air runes just because of all the content I've done over the years, giving me a plentiful stack of air runes in my bank. Or so I thought, until I started surging non-stop and I'm actually out of air runes. So we have to take care of that. I'm not rune crafting air runes, I'm just going to be purchasing packs for those. What I am doing right now is rune crafting wrath runes. I am also very low on this, and throughout the Maggot King grind, I've actually ran out multiple times. This time around, I'm going to look to get, I don't even know what a good amount is. Now that we're over rate, there's no telling how long we're going to be at this boss. It could be the next KC and we're done, or it could be another 500 or more. It's not just the runes. Well, actually, there's one more rune that we need more of too, and that's blood runes for our Scythe of Vitter. But it's not just the runes, we also have to get more pages for our Tome of Fire, and more specifically, seared pages. So that's going to be a multi-step process. We're going to have to do some Royal Titans for some desiccated pages and convert those into burnt pages, and then we're going to have to craft some Sunfire runes. Oh, more runes, and convert those burnt pages into seared pages. On top of that, we need to make more extended anti-venom pluses because the boss encounter does poison you, and we're probably going to need some more food in Divine Super Combats as well. Luckily, Wrath rune crafting is actually quite cozy. You can see that we Mythcape TP, climb down, and then it's just one click to the cave to where the altar is. And then from then, it's just the typical rune crafting clicks you have to do with your Colossal Pouch and things of that nature. Just make sure you have the Mythcape in your inventory and a quick TP back to a bank, and then it's rinse and repeat. Throughout this process, you can get up to about 10k Wrath runes an hour, I'm pretty sure. Also, luckily, casting Fire Surge only requires 1 Wrath rune per Fire Surge, so it's not overly expensive. You can definitely make them faster than you use them. Just a few seconds for you, but about 2 hours just under that for me. We have about 15,000 Wrath runes. I'm going to go ahead and Mythcape TP again anyways instead of to the Crafting Guild, because we're going to head upstairs and, well, let's just see what our total amount of Wrath runes is going to be. But also, we're going to do some cooking up here. We had rune crafted about 14,000 Wrath runes, and we had another 1,000 or so remaining in the rune pouch. So now we have almost a full rune pouch worth of Wrath runes. Alright, so we're going to be up here and we're going to get started on cooking. We still have 1,123 bluefins, but prior to the Maggot King grind, I'm pretty sure I had more than double this. Luckily, we still have another 2,000 raw bluefins. For a second, I thought I had to do some more trawling, but at some point in the past, I did a lot more trawling than I remember. So yeah, we're just going to get cooking. And I mean, I have ample other pieces of food, other food types that I could use, but bluefins are so nice. 22 healing plus 5 prayer. While we're cooking the bluefins on wait for it, this is 416 Hero, our 50 defense Gim for those unfamiliar. That's why it is a Dolo Gim. Now on this account, I completely forgot about this. It just slipped my mind. More recently, we've been doing soul rune crafting, but obviously we did a whole bunch of blood rune crafting. We have 249k blood runes on this account. On top of that, while previously I did trade over the burnt pages from the Wintertod grind on here, I did do a Dolo Royal Titan session a long time ago, and we do have desiccated pages. I forgot about these. So we have 187 pages to convert. Either way though, we're going to have to get more pages, so Royal Titans is on the horizon. But I'm going to go ahead and dump some of these resources into group storage. I'm not going to trade over all the blood runes, maybe 100k for now, and then all the pages, because I have no... Wait, you can't trade the pages? Well, I guess we'll go convert them first. With the Maggot King grind being new, there might be a lot of new eyes on the video and the series right now. So I already explained that it is a Dolo Gim. I play both accounts. Recently, 416 Hero is a 50 defense account. I also restricted my attack to 82, and previously we locked our prayer to 63, which is the Royal Titan's prayers. But I've since let go of that, and we've been doing a whole skilling arc on this account. We have quite a few 99s now. You can see my total level is 2158. Well, the reason why I want to be skilling on this account is for reasons like this. Perfect example. I just handed on over 100,000 blood runes. I want to use this account to be self-sufficient, but also be able to help my main account, quote unquote, wait for it, so that I can continue doing grinds while I skill away and gather resources on here. And sometimes even vice versa. Maybe I'll want to do a certain grind on here, and then that way I can just chill and skill on the other account. Anyways, here in the Arceus area, the region, this is where we are going to be converting all our pages into the burnt pages. We did this one time before already, and I actually had no idea that gave you rune crafting EXP. I didn't notice that the first time around. And back on wait for it, we simply just have to open the magic box that is group storage, and we are plus 100,000 blood runes and another 187 burnt pages. Now, do I have any Sunfire runes left over? I do. Let's go ahead and combine those or convert those into searing pages. Looks like we're going to have to do more Sunfire rune crafting, even for these pages. But yeah, we're going to be collecting more of those. But let's finish up the bluefins. We still got a little under an hour left of bluefin cooking, and then we'll get into some of the other upkeeps and then make our way back to Maggot King eventually. And now time to tackle the pages problem, which is probably the more interesting one, as we actually get to do more PVM. Ironically enough, we're going to be using our sites, so we're going to be losing out on charges on that, but I mean, that's just a given. Anyways, we're going to be doing Royal Titans for the pages, the desiccated pages. So let's go over our gear and inventory setup. Yes, it is an early mid-game boss, but we're going to be soloing it. We're not going to be doloing or even finding anybody else to do it. I'm more than happy to just try it solo myself. That way I can go at my own pace and whatnot. Besides, right now everybody's doing the Maggot King, and I think there's a bingo going on with the people I know as well, so everyone's busy. That's the point. So anyways, we're in full Torva. I think Torva or Oath Play is pretty comparable, with Torva slightly edging it. We have our Scythe of Vitter, and we're going to be using Reap Accurate Slash just because, you know, otherwise obviously we would use Aggressive Slash, but we're 200 mil strength, by the way. Anyways, our range gear, we have the blowpipe and just like a 6-way switch. We do have the ZCB for spec as well, DPS spec. And then we have a 4-way mage switch with the twin flame staff so that we can deal with the minions and the walls. Rest of the inventory is just standard stuff with food, prayer, and combat pots, right? And then giant soul amulet that will take us right to the boss. And then our cape, our max cape to TP out and reset. All right, let's get to it. And so we are underway here at Royal Titans. I'm 1 KC in now, and that first KC was very, very rough. I pretty much have to relearn how this fight works. We last left off on 590 KC, I guess, and that was 591. Let's actually take a look at the collection log here real quick. Not that we're going to be pulling any more of the prayers. I mean, you only ever get one of those, but we're not going to be getting any of this loot, like the giant soul amulets or the ice or fire element staff crown. What we will be getting is a whole bunch of desiccated pages. I do believe we still have the chance at the pet. So basically what you do instead of left click looting is you right click and you want to make sure to take pages. And there we go, 1 KC in, we got 17 desiccated pages. Let's heal back up and get ready for the next fight. So because we're not looting regularly, we're not going to get any more giant soul amulets. If you didn't know, you can then trade in giant soul amulets for extra charges for the amulet. People with higher end gear late in the game farming this boss, the strategy is actually to teleport out after every single kill. For example, if you had the desert amulet 4, it'd be very efficient to teleport out quickly, restore your stats, and come back. That way you're always utilizing all your spec and you have full stats, full prayer and everything. You don't have to worry about that. But for us, since we're not going to be getting any more loot to sustain the charges, I'm opting to just stay here as long as possible with the supplies I do have in one inventory. What I realized is once I get more comfortable with this again, this should be a 0 damage taken encounter. Especially since I'm actually dealing with the elemental spawns now, I should be taking 0 damage. In fact, the only damage I should be taking is actually when I ZCB and damage myself. But if I play this correctly, I shouldn't be taking any damage. It does seem a little tedious to solo, but in the name of having a better time at Maggot King, this will have to do. Well, that was unfortunate. I left click and looted by accident. We got 6 Irrit leaves. Oh, and some blood runes. What I am going to do is I'm going to swap left click to take pages on both of the respective bosses. That way that won't happen again, and we're going to continue getting pages. Going from the Maggot King grind to the Royal Titans now, it's interesting to see that you can see that they took inspiration from the Royal Titans in the sense that you have this horizontal rectangular platform, and then the boss goes in and out of range and melee distance. And of course, the Maggot King takes inspiration from a lot of other bosses as well, like the poison is very similar to things like Zarpus in the Theater of Blood. There's the lunge animation that is similar to Soul Heredit in that you have to physically dodge it. And on another note, I do appreciate bosses in which you have to click to loot them. That way, in between KCs, you do have a little bit of downtime for whatever you might need, you know, take a sip of water or something, right? And then you loot, and then there's a little bit of downtime until the next spawn. You don't have to teleport out or leave the room or anything like that. You can stay here as long as you have the supplies to do so. Despite this being an early mid-game boss, this really is quite mechanical and intensive. Of course, right now I'm soloing what is intended to be a duo boss, but even still, a lot harder than some of the other bosses that you could think of. So really right now all I did is 1.5 trips, so it's been what, like 30-40 minutes at the most, and in between I've just been recording yapping, right? Well, we have 175 desiccated pages. But a thought just occurred to me. I'm going to teleport to my POH right now. And I should have a bunch of dupes of the Pyromancer set. If not, at least the warm gloves and Bruma torches. I'm fairly confident. They're not in my bank, so they must be in the POH. So here we go. We have 2 extra Bruma torches, actually. So we're going to go ahead and take that. We still have 1 Bruma torch in there. That's all we'll ever need. Unless, for some reason, we want to dual-wield Bruma torches. You know what? Maybe we'll trade in 1, you know? I'll just keep 2 for the memes. So let's go ahead and store that. And then, is the Pyromancer set in this wardrobe, or is it in the armor set? Okay, it is. All right, we have 1 extra set. That should be a good amount of pages. Now, I'm going to head back to the bank, or unless, is a tome in here? No. Okay, let's head back to the bank, and I feel like I should have more than 1 tome. That, or it's on 416 Hero. Okay, we only have 1 tome. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at our collection log. Winter Todd. There's a chance I might have dropped over dupe tomes in the past. We only have 1 tome on this count. Let's check 416 Hero. On 416 Hero, we have not quite a full dupe set, but we do have a dupe, hood, garb, and robes. What is our Tome of Fire situation on here? Okay, we have 2 extra ones. Obviously, we want to keep 1 per account. So we're going to go ahead and trade in those Tome of Fires. Now, what about Bruma torches? We have 2 extra ones. And warm gloves, we have 2 extra ones. And let's double back to wait for it because I forgot to check the warm gloves. Back in the magic wardrobe, warm gloves, we have 2 extra ones. So let's go ahead and trade all of those in. This should be a ton of burnt pages between the 2 accounts. But honestly, doing Royal Titans, that was not bad at all. I'm just going to do a little bit of a time save and procrastinate this issue, right? This is just going to be a future me problem after I blast 20 billion more fire surges. I'm going to be out of pages again. But for right now, we can exchange these 4 pages. So this is plus 400 pages on wait for it. And those Tome of Fires that we're going to trade in on 416 Hero, they're worth even more. Oh, look, that's me. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and exchange. And the Tomafires. The Tomafire. You know what? Let me just double check because I absolutely do not want to trade a Tomafire away. Yep, we have one in the bank confirmed. It's currently empty, but no big deal. All right, exchange these dupe Tome of Fires. And these things are worth 500 burnt pages each. That's even more than what I was expecting. Oh, wait, no, they're 250 each. Okay, that's what I was expecting. I just can't read. But we trade both of them. We have 850 on 416 arrow. We're just going to trade it on over right now. And that is 1,250 burnt pages plus the desiccated pages, which we will convert right now. And then we will have to probably hit the mines, the Scar Essence mine, to get some more Sunfire runes. And a not so interesting activity, we're now going to be selling items into the Rogue's Den store here for a bit of GP so that we can afford twisted extracts. And back to the Scar Essence mine we go. I think last time we were here, we put 8 mil in the coffer. And now we have 348k left. I have 11 mil GP. This is all I have to my name. I'm going to be putting, I guess, another 8 mil. I will be keeping 3 mil just in case I need it for something that I'm not accounting for. But other than that, let's see how many chunks. We have absolutely no chunks in here. All right, we're going to be mining and then we'll get the Sunfire runes. 940 twisted extracts. I think I still have about 300 in the bank. This should be a ton of Sunfire runes for seared pages. 70,000 Sunfire runes. We have, again, the 1,500 burnt pages. Let's go ahead and convert those. We can only afford to make 708 more searing pages. So now it seems like our bottleneck is our ability to make Sunfire runes, which will require more GP. It's definitely not worth it to make Sunfire runes without the twisted extracts. So that's a future me problem. I do want to get back to Maggot King, and hopefully we just pull the Crimson Kisten before we run out. So let's go ahead and put these searing pages in the Tome of Fire. And how many charges do we have in this? 18,000. Actually, this is nearing max capacity because I do think it holds up to 20,000 charges. So that should last us a very long time. Probably another 500 KC if it comes down to it, but hopefully we won't need it. I went ahead and purchased like 80,000 air runes that actually won't last too long probably because again, surges are 7 air runes each. But now we're making some more extended anti-venom pluses. We don't need too many of these because these last a very long time. So just a couple of inventories and then we are ready to get back to Maggot King. Really hoping I'm not forgetting anything because we've done so many different things. And after all that prep, it's finally time to get back to the boss. We are at 504 KC with just the Crimson Kisten to go after. First KC is underway. Imagine after all that prep, we just get the drop on this first KC. One more swing here, and that is first KC down. Imagine the drop. Well, it's not going to happen. We get 8 uncut rubies. So in this session, I'm beginning to try and fully understand the boss. There's a couple of things that I didn't quite understand and I just chalked it up to RNG, but I'm trying to pay more attention now to figure things out. So the larvae will always spawn in between phases. So when it transitions from range to melee or range to mage, like between. So right now there should be 1 larvae. We have our Bofa equipped because when you range them in the air, no matter what weapon you're using, as long as it's range, you should be able to one-shot them. So we were able to get rid of that larvae right there. KC 521, this is only my 3rd roll of the Venator teeth. They're the same drop rate as the Venator fangs, but weirdly enough, just haven't seen it too often. In fact, up until now, I had more rolls of the rare Elder Venator fang, which is the Necklace of Rapture, than these teeth. Funny how RNG works, honestly. 173 Venator fangs. On top of trying to focus the larvae while they're in the air, which by the way, during the melee phase sub 20%, they throw like 3 to 4 larvae out at once. So it's a bit overwhelming and they're kind of difficult to click on, honestly. Right now, it feels more trouble than it's worth. On top of that, another thing I'm trying to focus on is to actually dodge these rocks, these carry-ons or whatever they are. There is a strategy to them. They're similar to the boulders at the Dumamoka, but again, feels more trouble than it's worth right now anyways. Maybe with some more practice I can get better at it and it won't be too big of a deal. For reference, when we weren't really paying much attention to those things, we were actually getting like 8 KC trips. The last couple of trips I've done now have been like 3 or 4 KC, just because I'm so focused on trying to avoid those things and deal with the larvae that I'm actually ending up eating a lot of damage. Looks like RNG is evening out. 208 Venator teeth. We're struggling with the KCs because we're practicing new things, but we are printing Venator fangs and teeth. Currently on a 9 KC trip. I figured out, and when I say I figured out, I read the wiki so someone else figured out that the larvae alternate sides on where they spawn. So bad example there as I misclick, but now that I know where they spawn, I'm able to more accurately click a little bit better. We are up to KC 568 now, and I've continued to practice using my bowfoot to shoot the larvae out, and I'm getting a little bit better with that, but I still maintain that it's pretty difficult to dodge the carry-on rock things as well as shoot the larvae at the same time. And for what it's worth, the amount of KC that I have done, I haven't noticed like a significant decrease in the time per KC or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, it does make the last melee phase 20% much easier. Don't have to deal with the larvae. This isn't a Maggot King video without having to TP out mid KC because we're out of air runes. KC 600, a tarnished spear. Not like this, man. KC 688, that is another elder. I can't even speak, I've been grinding so long. Elder Venator Fang, number 4. Incredibly spooned, but the best way to put it is incredibly blurst. Working on the next KC now, so let's see if we can get a back-to-back, but I know this is not how the logic works, but I am incredibly scared that I am now going to go insanely dry on this Crimson Kisten. Well, we got 5 blood sacks, so no back-to-back, I can tell you that much. One more swing here, and we've made it to KC number 700. A 137 pretty speedy as well, and we get a supply drop. Another day, and we're going to get ready to get back to the Maggot King. We last left off on KC 714, and we're still missing the Crimson Kisten. But before we can do that, we've been burning up supplies. While I did do a good job of upkeeping everything else, I think we should be good on those. We do need to make more prayer potions. The prayer potion stack is looking real down bad right now, as if we open up potion storage, we have 326 doses, which comes out to be about 81 prayer pots, and I used to have hundreds of those, so let's go ahead and make a couple of those before we head back. And maybe today will be the day we get the Crimson Kisten. Interestingly enough, right now it's still early enough in the week of release where there are no official drop rate information just yet, just the community pooled data. Now, the Elder Venator Fang has stood firm at about 1 in 333 rate, but the Kisten was originally posted to be at 1 in 500. But I just checked and now it's a 1 in 520. So with more data, looks like the Kisten is actually more rare than we think. Of course, sometime down the line, Jagex is going to officially announce the drop rates and we'll know for certain. But right now, a little bit of copium that maybe this thing is rarer than we think. We have about 600 prayer potions made, so it's back we go. 739 KC in. We're going to try out using the ZCB as our spec weapon with only a 2-way switch, and it misses. So, well, we are on the 4th KC of the trip, and 3 out of 4 times the ZCB has landed, so I suppose that's good news. But I don't know if it's really worth bringing. In order for us to ZCB more often, I'm going to swap out the Magus Ring in favor of the Light Bear. I think this setup makes it to where I only lose 1 max hit. My previous max hit was a 59, so this should be a 58 max hit now. Although, we don't know how effective the light bearer is going to be because we do want to swap to the ultra ring for the melee phases. We'll give it a shot though. Utilizing range instead of mage is something I haven't tried yet personally, but I imagine using the ZCB then is probably more effective. Right now, it's a bit odd. I'm not exactly getting enough spec back even with the light bearer because I'm having the ring switch. Well, after a couple of trips with the ZCB and Quiver in my inventory, just decided to switch back to the Eye of Ayak. We're now just 10 KC away from 800. For some reason, this trip right now 5 KC in, we've had 1 supply drop and 4 uncut ruby drops. Nice clean stack of 30 in our inventory. We've made it to KC 800. Get a supply drop out of that. Extends the trip a little bit. KC 826. We have our 5th Elder Venator Fang. Alright, can we lead it into a back-to-back and rip the Kisten? It is written in the script, right, that this is going to happen. KC 827. Nope, we get a tarnished necklace, which is actually a bracelet for some reason. Last trip, I got 206 Venator teeth. I think even still, I've rolled the Elder Venator Fang more times than this teeth drop so far. Weird RNG. What is going on? What is going on? $844, 6 Venator Fangs. I don't even know what to say. This is not funny. This is not funny. This is not funny. This is fine. This is just the game of giving me another chance to back into leech fins. Yep, exactly what I was looking for. Out of air runes. Classic. Just got the chat box notification. Scythe only has 100 charges left, and our Maggot King KC is 900. Still no Crimson Kisten. Somehow, some way, without changing my gear or my inventory setup, 927 KC in. I just got a new personal record for 11 KC in a trip. Each KC must have been just rather speedy or something. A lot of sub 2s, a 138 in there even. And I guess we also got pretty lucky on the supply drops. Let's see what we get on this 11th KC here. A tarnished necklace. And we've made it to 1000 KC. This is going to have to be my stopping point. And we get leech fin, 10 of them even. But yeah, let's go ahead and teleport out of here. We're going to have to call it here at 1000. It's been a very, very long grind in a short period of time. So we're definitely going to have to move on to something else and recuperate our supplies. When we last resupplied ourselves, that actually wasn't enough. I actually had to put more Tome of Fire pages in there. I had to get more Wrath runes. I had to get more air runes. I had to make a couple of more potions. Yeah, it was pretty rough out here. And now I'm completely out of GP. Good news is we did fully recharge our scythe, but even then we used another 1700 charges in it. And here's our collection log at 1000 KC. Didn't change since the 6th Venator Fang, Elder Venator Fang. We got the pet, and we're still missing the Crimson Kisten. And as far as notable drops go at Maggot King, well, right now the loot table actually isn't that interesting. These are the only 2 things of note outside of the things actually on the collection log. We have 2,565 Venator Fangs, and we have 1,374 Venator Teeth. Well, as I said, that's going to have to do it. We're going to move on to some other grinds, and then we'll either come back for another stint at Maggot King in the future, or we'll just sprinkle in a trip here and there, and then maybe one day we'll just randomly get the drop. Oh, and also combat achievements.